So I'm Richard Thompson. I'm Professor of Marine Biology at the University of Perth. There's a range of different solutions, and I think it's important to recognise there's no single solution. And the solutions will vary a little bit from one country to another. In some of the countries where I'm working, it's actually a lack of basic waste management. There is no infrastructure to collect waste from households. That's what's causing the problem. And yet, if I go to, let's say, Europe or North America, the fundamental problem is not to do with waste management. We've got quite good waste management infrastructure, but we've still got litter on our beaches that's locally derived. And the problem's more resulting from bad behaviour, from people dropping litter, from them discarding plastics. So I think we need to understand what the main drivers are, because that's going to clearly influence the different solutions. If there's an absence of waste management, and the only way to get plastic and other refuse away from the town where you live is to throw it in the local river, then we can't really blame the citizens that live there. What we need to do as a solution is implement waste management. But if I think about other solutions, where waste management infrastructure is quite well developed, and I've got a very sophisticated recycling truck that comes to my house every fortnight, and yet still we've got a problem of litter locally. I think the overarching problem is that 40% of all the plastic we produce is single use, and it's designed really to bring us convenience, kind of disposable living, and that's okay as far as it goes, except with all the plastic we produce, particularly with those single-use items, we're not really thinking about, or at least we're not designing for, end of life. So we're making products that deliver some sort of function, whether that's single-use convenience or a different application, but we're not necessarily designing in the end of life and what to do, and can we recycle those plastic items, or can they be reusable, for example. So I think fundamentally the design stage is the place to really start, and it's about making sure that we've designed for end of life, whatever that might look like. And it feels kind of strange when I talk to product designers. They say, well, that's curious, it was never in the brief. It was simply never in my brief as a designer to design things for end of life. I was asked to design them to give their function, to perform, to give a benefit, and to be attractive so consumers wanted to use them, but I was never asked to design them with end of life in mind. And that's really, it's a key part of the problem, and it has to be solved from the design stage. I mean, in short, I would say the problem is we've got a business model that dates back to the 1950s, and that's a business model that's grounded in this disposable society, the convenience that throwaway plastics can bring. And in the 1950s, we were making about 5 million tons of plastic. 40% of it was single use, and that wastefulness wasn't nice, but on a global scale was probably manageable. Today, we're making in excess of 300 million tons of plastic every year, and 40% of it is still single use. And if we haven't even thought at the design stage about how we're going to dispose of it when we've finished with that single use, well, that explains why we've got a fairly serious problem of the accumulation of waste and litter in the environment. So it has to start from the design stage.